So I'm going to try and think about what I'm going to say, and I'm going to be very, very transparent in this video because it's just been brought to my light that William Bonac has just put a post up about the parting of myself and him not working together. So I'm going to address a couple of things first of all, because I think it's very important that actually the truth is brought out here. So there are a number of, what should I say, there's actually a lot of inaccuracies with the post that William's just put up, where he has said very clearly things which are not true. So I'm just going to go back to the very beginning with William. I can't remember the first year we started working together, but when I met William originally, he competed in a show that I was promoting in the UK. It was the British Grand Prix. He was competing as a 212 athlete. Bear in mind as well is that I haven't pre-prepared myself for this live, so I have to try and think very clearly and go back a number of years. Anyway, William competed in my show. It was probably like, say, 6 years ago, maybe. It could have been 5, it could have been 6, it could have been 7. But going back in the past, he competed in the 212 class. And if I'm correct, I think he came 5th. He may have come 6th, but I think he came 5th. And he looked fantastic. I believe 1 or 2 weeks later, I saw him and spoke to him when he was in Prague, where he was competing in the Prague Pro. I can't recall where he placed there, but again, he looked really great in Prague, and we briefly spoke about working together for the very first time. And at the time, William either wasn't working or wasn't able to afford for coaching from a coach. And I said, it's fine, William, it's not a problem, I'll coach you for free because I feel there's a lot of potential in you and I would like to give you my time. And, you know, we can think about payment later on in life, it's not relevant at the moment. So we worked together for a very brief spell of time, but after about 6 to 8 weeks, and this is just an example, guys, William contacted me to say, hey, listen, coach, I feel that I can't carry on working with you. I don't feel good about the fact that I'm not paying you. And if my life or circumstances change in the future, I will come back to you. So I said, that's fine, no problems. It was probably a year or maybe 2 years later, I met William again, and he was competing in the Prague show again. And again, he looked great. He made some good improvements with his physique. And he approached me and asked me, you know, would I take him on as a client? I think his financial situation was very similar than it was the year before. And if I'm correct, at the time he was living in a car. So William was actually living in a car for a length of time, possibly the same time at the time. And again, I said to him, look, I'll do the same with you, William. Okay, so if you feel better, this is what I'll do. I will look to see if I can find you a sponsor. And instead of you directly paying me, then what I will do is I will actually take a fee of what you get from your sponsor. And his answer was, but I don't have a sponsor. And I said, well, leave that with me. I'll actually see what I can do on my side, and I will see if I can get some sponsors for you. All right? Because I saw a huge amount of potential in William back then. A lot of people who have a lot of credibility in the industry, from certain areas of the industry, from different categories of the industry, didn't believe that William was going to have the potential, the genetics to make it in the pro ranks, but I really believe that he did have the genetics and the potential. So I reached out to a number of different companies, and within a very, very short spell of time, I got William a number of sponsors. Okay, a number of sponsors. So up to that point, William didn't actually have a sponsor, but within a number of days, I got William a number of different sponsors to sponsor him in some capacity. So what I said to William, okay, look, this is what I'll do with you, William. I will take 20% of your prize money, and I will take 20% of your bonuses, your bonus money, which is actually very, very, very similar to a lot of other coaches do in the industry. Now, bearing in mind, I'm talking about coaches that I personally know, all right? I know there are coaches which actually take 25% of the prize money from their athlete. And William was extremely happy by this, okay? So I'll just make it very clear. I was going to take 20% of his prize money and 20% of his bonus money. I was dealing with his sponsors because William was innocently naive of how sponsorship works, etc., etc. And generally, guys, okay, generally, the prize money or the bonus money wasn't my motivational factor in any way whatsoever. And anyone who actually really knows me, like really knows me, from a senior level to an athlete level, will know that's actually accurate. So we move forward. I negotiate his contracts for him, and as I said, guys, it was 20% prize money, 20% bonus money. That was what the deal was. I was not taking any payment in between. So my point is that I was putting my energy, my time, my attention, my experience, and my passion, and my genuine sincerity into prepping William, not because of a monetary value, because I genuinely believe that he was able to succeed things which were absolutely amazing in the industry. Did I think that it was going to take time? Yes, I do think it was going to take time. It was going to be a work in progress, okay? Anyway, so we did our first show together. William at the time, or before we started working together, he had a great physique, but I would say he was very much a second-rate pro, had potential, but had a lot of improvements to make. And then myself and William worked together for about 6 months, and we actually competed in Tony Doherty's show for the very first time. So it was pretty much 6 months, 3 months off-season, 3 months pre-contest. This is roughly, so don't hold me to this. And then we did our first pro show together, and he came second. And he came a very, very, very close second place. Okay? A very, very close second place. Then we did our second show, which, if I remember rightly, it was the Brazilian Arnolds, and I think that William came maybe 6th. Now again, don't quote me on this, okay? It was 6th. Anyway, as far as William is concerned, there are a lot of things that I could talk about privately about William. A lot of things that I could talk about William privately, but I really don't think it's actually the place to talk about these things privately, because a number of things that I could talk about very openly about William, to be honest with you, would bring what I feel is a very, very negative light on him in multiple different areas of his past and present. But I'm not going to do that, because I really don't think that this is a place to air certain things. Ultimately, William knows what those things are. And they're things which I think are pretty negative. So for myself, I don't have an issue that William has made a post. What I would say that I have, not even frustration, my feelings are, if you're actually going to say something with truth and meaning, and not actually say things which are not true. So first and foremost, I never took 40% of William's winnings. I never took 40% of William's prize money. Never at any time. Never at any time did I take 40% of his prize money and 40% of his bonus, which indirectly is what he's declaring or he's put out there. That's completely untrue. I have the contracts, still that we signed together when we worked together. I took 20% of his prize money, and I took 20% of his bonus money, and that took place for 2 or 3 years. Bearing in mind also, every single penny that William paid me was a tax-deductible expense. A tax-deductible expense, meaning that William was able to claim that against his taxes. So indirectly, it actually didn't cost William any money. He was a professional athlete. I was offering and giving him a professional service, and he was able to lose that money against taxes. He didn't pay me cash for his bonus. He didn't pay me cash for his prize money. He paid me through a legitimate bank transfer, and I gave him a legitimate receipt which allowed him to put against taxes. So he actually put all of those expenses against taxes. William seemed very, very happy with our synergy and our working relationship. Now, I'm not going to say that working with William was always easy, because there was times where it was, I don't know, frustrating as well. There was times where it was a little difficult, I would say. But my intentions with William were always good. Now, he's portraying himself, or portraying that wasn't the case whatsoever, and for me it was just about money. It wasn't about money. And I'll tell you another reason, is because I never once, ever asked William for any money. So what I mean by that is that William was always forthcoming. When he placed in a show and he was paid by his relevant companies for his prize money and bonus, William would always reach out to me and say, "Hey, coach, send me a receipt and I'll make payment." And there were so many times that I said to him, and all these messages are on my phone, I said to him so many times, "William, look, don't worry about the prize money. Don't worry about the bonus money. Pay me again in the future. It's not a problem for me. Look, use the money for a house. Use the money for this. Use the money whatever you want. It's okay, William." Not at any time did I ask William for one single dollar, ever. Okay? He always was very forthcoming and said, "No, I want to pay you, coach. I don't like having debts around me. I want to pay the money." And there was a lot of times where William would have to keep messaging me, "Hey, coach, don't forget about send me an invoice. Coach, don't forget to send me an invoice." Not because he had made payment to me, because he wanted a receipt from me in order to pay. And the reasons why I was not forthcoming, because it wasn't on my list of things which were important to me. It wasn't the money. Now, you may say, "Well, if it wasn't the money, why was you charging him?" And I tell you why, is because I have done so much in the past of giving my time and my attention to a lot of other people where I've coached, and I have felt massively undervalued, unappreciated, and my time was scarce. Okay, so for me to come on this video now, it's taken time out of my day, which means that it's less time that I can spend in my computer working. It means less time that I can put into designing a program. It means less time that I can put into other things that I want to do in my life. That's before I have any time for my personal things. So in other words, my personal time, maybe I want to train today, maybe I have to go to the supermarket, maybe I'm writing an ebook, or whatever it is, it's personal time. And I feel that my time and my passion is something that I have the right to charge for. Now, different people have different perspectives on what they feel is something they can justify as far as a payment is concerned. Now, if you're a client, or you're a new client of mine, okay, a new client of mine, and you feel that my charges are not affordable for you, or you feel that, for instance, you can't justify that fee, it's not a problem for me. I don't get offended by that. We see value in different things, okay? So some people see value in different things. Some people spend their money in different areas. For me, I spend my money that I work extremely hard for in different areas of my life, okay? I shouldn't have to justify to anybody where I spend my money. That's my choice. That's my personal choice. But as I said, going back to William, he wasn't paying me 40% prize money, 40% bonus. He was actually paying 20% prize money, 20% bonus. So those things that he's put out there are actually lies again, all right? And William lies a lot. Then William, last year or the year before, William felt that, that he wanted to just pay me prize money, bonus, and not a bonus, money from his bonus. So in other words, he wanted to go from 20% prize money, 20% bonus, to only paying me 20% of his prize money. That was fine with me, because again, it wasn't a motivational factor for myself in any way whatsoever, okay? In any way whatsoever. And that was fine with me. Everything was fine. But I had noticed, certain behaviour or certain words or mannerism with William over a period of time that he was frustrated by the fact that he was paying me a fee for my services. At the same time, he always had the opportunity to talk to me about those things. So when William made it aware to me that he wanted to just pay me 20% of his prize money and not 20% of his bonus money, did I have an issue with that? No. We didn't argue, we didn't fall out, there was no negativity, it was fine for me. It was not a problem whatsoever, okay? Also, I also want to put into this as well that I did put a huge amount of my knowledge and time into William. And even though I'm pretty frustrated and hurt and annoyed in certain areas of what's been said and William's behaviour at the moment, I will always want what's best for him, always. So I'm not somebody who's going to be vindictive and somebody who's going to want hurt or disrespect to somebody just because of a moment in time. I'm pretty rational the way that I think about things, to be honest with you. And even though I feel that what William has put out there is very, very away from the actual truth in many, many areas, I'm still going to want what's best for him because I'm not somebody who holds grudges like that. There are only probably 2 people in my life that I generally don't like. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to want bad for them, if that makes sense. So I just want to clear that up, all right? The fact is that what William's actually putting out there is not true. Also, what I pay for my rent here in Boca, what has that got to do with anything? I pay pretty much $3,000 for my rent. In fact, it's slightly less than that. It was pretty much $3,000 and it's gone down to about $2,700. But my point is that what has that got to do with anything to do with me and William? I work extremely hard, okay? So I'm not somebody who sits on my backside for hours and hours a day and doesn't work and relies on my sponsors in multiple different ways to pay for my bills, etc. I work really hard, so I put my time into my online coaching, I put my time into writing content, I put my time into lots of different areas of what I'm doing in the industry, okay? A lot of time and a lot of passion and a lot of emotion into what I do. So how I spend my money is nothing to do with anyone else. I don't drive a fancy car. William has a very, very nice Mercedes. But my point is that what has that got to do with anything? I don't smoke weed and smoke hash like William, so I don't waste money in that area of my life, okay? I think that I'm very reservative on how I spend my money or where I spend my money. So why the cost of my living has anything to do with it? William does not pay for my rent in any way whatsoever. That's completely another irrational comment from William, because I actually pay my rent myself, okay? I try to save every week and every month. Every week and every month I try to save my money. And I do not pay my bills off William's money that he pays me. I pay my bills off my hard work on what I do, besides of taking a fee of William's prize money. As far as myself is concerned, is that I didn't come on here, okay, to talk negative of William or talk negative of anybody, all right? I'm coming on here to give you very clear, definitive separations of what is being said and what actually is very true. If William wants to make accusations and put things out there which are not true, then that's up to him, okay? Myself and Flex have had some hard times in our working relationship together for multiple different reasons, okay? And have I been frustrated by my relationship with Flex at times? Yeah, I have been frustrated by my relationship with Flex at times for a number of reasons, but I'm sure he's been frustrated about our relationship on my side in certain areas. But that being said, we've still always wanted what's best for each other. I could name a lot of very, very, very important people who would be extremely hurt if I was to talk about a lot of the things that William has spoken to me about certain people. But I'm not going to do that, because it's not because I'm trying to portray myself as this good person, because I'm not perfect by any means. But I am very, very honest. And for myself, if you're going to say things, then say the truth. I wrote William's plan for the Olympia, and I have to go into my messages maybe 18 weeks out. William hasn't, still to this day, is still not been following everything that I put in that plan. He was not eating the meals. He was not following the protocol. I had to constantly chase him. What has his body weight got to do with anything? Okay, so this is how I'm going to explain. Body weight, when you're monitoring somebody's body weight, it allows you to take something, even if it's only a small part, but it's able to take something away from your viewpoint when it comes to diet. Now, the perfect diet is where you're able to build muscle tissue and lose body fat at the same time. That's the perfect diet, okay? It's very easy for some people to over-diet, and they may not necessarily see it in the mirror straight away, okay? They'll see that they're obviously getting leaner. They may even see they're getting a little bit flatter. But before they've known it, those days and weeks have gone by, and then within a 4-week period, they may have lost 15 pounds, 16 pounds, 17 pounds. Well, that would tell me indirectly that there's a good possibility that they've maybe been losing some muscle tissue in that time period. So the good way of actually measuring your body fat and measuring your body weight is it gives you two different subjective views on how your body is adjusting or holding or maintaining its present look, etc. William doesn't measure his body fat. He never has. He's never had a hydrostatic tank. He's never had calipers done through prep with me in any way whatsoever. So me monitoring his body weight kind of gives me at least something to work off with how his body is reacting. So, to give you an idea, William normally starts contest prep at about 101 to 103 kilos. Let's just say 103 kilos. Steps on stage roughly at about 104 kilos. So he actually builds a lot of muscle tissue and loses body fat at the same time. But allowing me to monitor that body weight gives me some form of clarity on how his body's doing. It also tells me as well is if he's getting all his meals in, and a lot of time William actually doesn't get all his meals in. So his body weight gives me some form of clarity on what's happening, but just a small part. William sends me pictures, okay? So William actually sends me pictures. And these pictures I'll have in my phone, but just to give you an idea here, just to give you some clarity on this, William sent me some pictures over recently, and I said to him, it's hard for me to form an opinion from these, mate, because the lighting, okay, the lighting is different. Now, I also understand that it's not always possible to send the pictures in exactly the same light, because maybe we're in a different gym, maybe the lights aren't working, or whatever it may be. So William sent me some pictures over maybe like a week ago. I'd have to look in my phone exactly. And when he sent them over, there was a lot of areas of his physique which were kind of hidden because the lighting was bad, okay? So it's very hard for me to actually extract some information and give them a really clear, definitive answer whether I feel that I can see some positive changes that week. So I simply replied back saying, hey mate, the lighting is a bit different. It's hard for me to see from these. I don't want to just come back and say to you, hey, you look great, I'm going to change this, this and this if I can't extract a real viewpoint because of the pictures. And then William sent me back what I would say is a sarcastic message. And he said, the lighting is always like this. It's not going to be any different, etc. Because that's what I tend to get from William a lot, is sarcastic messages. So I'm actually going to show you what I mean by this. So this picture is the picture that William sent me, say, last week. Then this is a picture he sent me the week before. This is a picture which he sent the week before. And this picture is the week before. So look at the lighting. The lighting is completely different. 4 weeks ago, or say 5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. The lighting is very different. So I simply said to him that it's hard for me to form an opinion from these, mate, because the lighting isn't the same as it was. But I can see you're getting leaner. I can see in your midsection. And William said, okay, cool. So again, I don't know why there are things being said which are inaccurate here. Secondly, as well, I haven't made any changes to William's plan in the last number of weeks, okay? Because I didn't feel that changes need to be made as long as he was following the program which he was supposed to be doing. William had 6 meals, 5 or 6 meals in his plan that I wrote to him. And all of these things I can put on socials, it's not a problem. That he was supposed to be following maybe 16 or 17 weeks out. William was actually only eating 3 meals at maybe 14 weeks out. Which really is a big concern for me because, again, I highlighted, mate, I know it's hard for you to get your meals in, but you really need to try and get more meals in. If you're not going to get your macronutrient values up, you're not going to get your meals in, then your state of recovery is going to be very, very, very small. All right? So as I said, William was not paying me 40% of his prize money and 40% of his bonus money. That's not true in any way whatsoever. Secondly, as I said already in this video, that every penny that William was paying me was a tax-deductible expense. Every penny was a tax-deductible expense. Now, I can go into a lot more clarity and a lot more clarity on the subject of me and William. But I really don't think that a social outlet is the place to do it. Ultimately, anybody who has actually really worked with me will actually know what I'm like. We all have our views and opinions on people, and the good thing about social media is it gives people a platform and the ability to express themselves. Yes. But the trouble is about social media as well is it gives people the ability to say things which are actually not true and not accurate. And to me, that is one of the aspects I don't like about social media. For myself, I have not an issue if William wants to sit next to me and we have a live debate and conversation and view it to everybody and go through all aspects of our relationship, every aspect of our relationship. It's fine, it's not a problem. I've heard William speak a lot of negative trash talk about some extremely important people in our industry. Extremely important people. I've heard him talk a lot of negativity about a lot of really elite athletes in the industry. Now, I'm not going to say that this is accurate. One year, William Bonac had a falling out with Sean Roden. Then he had a falling out with Dexter Jackson. Then he had a falling out with Cedric McMillan. Then he had a falling out with somebody else. I don't have a bad relationship with any of these guys. But my point is like, what has that got to do with any of this conversation whatsoever? As far as myself and William, the reason why this happened today is, and it came from out of the blue, William wanted, he gave me the impression that he wanted purely just a business relationship with me, that's all. He said, don't take it personal, this is just business. It's not personal, it's business. I just want a business relationship, you're my coach, you tell me what to do and I'll do it. Whereas before, I had a very good connection with William as far as like friendship and respect. My attitude and the way that I spoke to William or treat William is no different than it was 6 months ago, 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It's no different. The change towards attitude to me has come from William, and I can prove that because it's in all of my messages back and forth. But again, that's got nothing to do with my post and my conversation here. William comes from a very, comes from a past where things were not always perfect in his life. So I think William's got a very, very dark past. I know a lot about his dark past, which to me is pretty negative, to be honest with you. I know a lot about William. I've seen the way that he's grown and he's matured in the industry. I've seen him grown in certain areas of his life in a better way. I've seen him succeed in certain areas of his life, and that makes me extremely prideful and makes me proud. That is what motivates me. So somebody contacted me recently and asked me if William would be interested in entering an event, and basically the event has the ability for William to do financially well if he places well. But that doesn't motivate me. It's not the prize money for me. It's always been the prize money for William, you know. William, after losing the Arnold this year, was extremely resentful and frustrated about the amount of money that he lost at the show because he felt that he won the Arnold. I was upset because I felt that he deserved to win that title, because I felt that his physique justified the title, and I was just upset because I felt that that was a title that, you know, he won. He didn't care about the title. He only wanted the prize money. It didn't motivate me. Would I get 20% of the prize money? Yeah, but that's not my motivational factor here. That's got nothing to do with anything, in any way, anything whatsoever. So I know this has been a long post or a long conversation, guys, and I'm sure it will probably go on and on and on and on. For myself, I have not an issue sitting next to William Bonac and talking for everyone to see this whole conversation. And then the real truth will actually come out. Okay, so that's when the truth will really come out. Because for me, I don't have an issue with that whatsoever. I have not a problem sitting in front of a person who has an opinion or a view on something which might be relatable for myself. I don't have an issue doing that. I've got all the messages in my phone. I've got everything in my phone, everything in my emails. So as I said, hopefully that's going to give some clarity onto this situation. Am I upset with William and myself not working together anymore? Of course I am, because I generally had some amazing moments with William, traveled the world together. And believe you me, understand this, William didn't pay me 20%. 20% of just my experience or time, okay? I feel that I put a lot more of my passion and my love and my want in for William, as well as my experience and my time and my attention. William likes to separate things and think of things just as a monetary value. I don't look at it like that. It's not the driving force of me. It's not what powers me. It's not what is the driving force behind what I do. So hopefully this has answered some of the questions or gives some form clarity. You know, what I'll say to William, if you want to sit down and talk about our last 6 years working together very openly and actually honestly, if you know actually how to talk honestly, that's not a problem. Ultimately, I have everything which I can express myself on. That's my point. Currently, William is pretty much 8.5 weeks out from the Olympia, and I genuinely believe he has the ability to win the Mr. Olympia. I really hope that he does win the Olympia. I do believe it's going to be an extremely competitive battle up there. There are a number of athletes who have a real shot at winning the title. So, you know, as far as William and all the other athletes in the Mr. Olympia this year, I wish you all the very best. And hopefully that will give some clarity on it. But as I said, there are a lot of inaccuracies which are being put up there. So for myself, I would rather be transparent and honest than say something which is very much the opposite in every way and any way whatsoever. So ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you checking in on this, and thank you very much.